Hey guys, just going to do a quick walk around and how to run on one of these John Deere utility tractors. I just shot a 3-minute video as well, which does not have very concise information, but it's a good, starter for somebody that's just looking to start one and move it out of the way kind of thing. But anyways, this is a pretty common configuration between John Deere, Kubota, Kobelco. Most of the more modern utility tractors that are hydrostatic drive are similar to this. Now, even amongst John Deere, controls will be in a different location. Each machine will have different options. I don't even know all of the features and functions that this machine has, and I've owned it for 2 years. Not that I've run it that much, but like I say, every machine is slightly different, but they all have very similar commonalities between them. You always want to do a quick walk around of your machine and check for safety, check for gashes in the tires, make sure that your bucket and attachments are properly secured and that your linch pins or other latches are in place and proper, and that there's no cracks in any major components, especially on older machinery. You always want to give it a walk around every couple times that you run it, or every 8 to 10 hours, give it a good walk around, especially if you know you hit a stump or hit a crevice in the concrete with it. But stuff like these dry rot cracks that I've got in these old tires on here can be an issue, because if you're running 15 psi, it's probably not going to be a problem. Some people put too much air in the tires, and then those dry rot cracks will come loose. When these big tires pop, it'll blow this fender right off of there, and it could break your arm if you were sitting on the machine. So I do have a different set of tires that will go on this machine when I sell it, but I just wanted to point that out, that would be a safety concern if this were out in the field with employees running it. Because you get out there on a 100-degree day, if the thing left a 60-degree shop at 6 in the morning and you set the tires at 15 psi and you get out on a 105-degree day, those tires now could have 25 psi in them, and that dry rotting could cause the tire to explode, and now you're getting a work comp claim because somebody broke their arm or worse. Anyways, quick safety inspection. When you're out in the field, you always want to have your crash guard up, because these tractors are narrow, and especially like this one has a really nice sized bucket on it. But if you were loading into a fairly high truck with this and you had a full load of dirt on there, 1,200 pounds up in the air on a side hill, this thing could roll over, and that crash guard is going to save somebody's life. So always have your safety equipment in place when you're running these things. Always do a quick walk around, look at all your hoses and all of your tires and latches and such, and make sure that it's safe to run. But from there, once we have designated that it is safe to run, this particular machine has a loader frame on it, and then it also has the 3-point and the PTO and our auxiliary hydraulics on the back. Some machines will also have auxiliary hydraulics on the front. But as we look to get on board this machine, the first thing we'll notice is 2 brake pedals on the left, our steering wheel. Now these John Deeres have a neat feature. This paddle here allows you to unlock the steering wheel and lean the steering wheel forward. So if you've got a bigger belly, it makes it easier to get onto the machine, or if you've got limited mobility. Now notice the seat on this one has fairly complicated adjustments. I'm not going to get into what all those do, because I honestly don't even know what they all do. I've never played with them. We've got a speed control down here for the drop hydraulics. I believe that's for the 3-point on this one. And then we've got another control down here. I don't know for sure what that one does. Maybe somebody in the comments can let me know what that one below the hydraulics does. But like I say, I've been driving equipment for 50 years, and I've owned this tractor for 2, and I don't even know what all the features do. So don't feel bad if you've got a tractor that you've never run before and you're not sure how to run it, because I am what you would consider an expert, and I don't know everything that this machine has. As we get into the seat, you'll notice on this side, this is your 3-point adjustment. Now the 3-point hydraulics on these are kind of unique because This control lever, based on the number that you set it at, will control where the depth will go on your rear drop. So as I move this lever, even with it not running, you see it's dropping, but it only drops as far as I move the control. So that is actually a height control on there. And then when it's running, obviously, when I bring that back, the control will come up on its own. This lever here on this machine is your auxiliary hydraulics on the rear. So that was a factory installed setup on this particular tractor. If it was a dealer installed add-on, they can put that control anywhere. A lot of times they'll put an electric controller up here or on the dash or some other such location. But the factory installed ones are built into the console nice like this. Then we've got our T-handle here. This is up and down for your front loader frame, and side to side is your bucket tip. And so some machines also have a float feature where when you push the control forward, you'll have up and down, and then you can click or push it to lock past, which would be your float. This one I do not believe has float on it. On the right side, you've got two pedals. You've got your forward and your backward. Now these are hydrostatic control. So the further that you push the pedal down, the more oil flow it allows, and the faster the machine will travel. So like I say, it is hydrostatic control, so you can push that down all the way to the floor and you'll be traveling at full speed, and then you ease up. So unlike a car where you vary the throttle to control the speed, on this your throttle is static, and that's your orange control here. So you might put it at half throttle and then push the pedal down and vary the depth of the pedal to control your speed. Or same thing, variable speed for backward. It makes it very easy for operating this. On your left side here is your transmission. Now on this machine, the transmission is actually a gear drive transmission. So you cannot shift this while in motion. It will grind because there's no actual clutch on the machine. So if you shift this while you're moving, it will grind or bang. So you have to come to a full stop and then shift it between your speeds. And it does have a neutral for if you need to pull or move the tractor when it's not running. Yeah, you want to put that in your speed range. On this particular one, I've found that the A range, the low speed, is a gentle walk speed. An average person can walk faster than the machine will travel, so let's say less than 2 miles an hour. Your mid-range, your B speed, will go up to probably 3 to 5 miles an hour, give or take. And the C range on this thing is pretty capable. I don't know what it actually rates at, but I'm going to say it's probably right around 12 miles an hour or so. It's pretty quick. But anyways, like I say, you've got to put that into your speed range and then push the pedal. Do not shift it while you're on the fly. On the left here, back to our double brake pedals. The purpose of a double brake pedal is that, let's say you overload the back of it so the front tires are barely touching the ground. You're lifting something heavy with the back, and the front tires are coming off the ground. So as you steer, like let's say right now, those tires are steered, and you're still not getting motion in the direction that you want to. You can step on one of the brake pedals and lock up, in this case, the right side tire, and now the machine will be forced to walk to the right. You also can turn your steering so that the tires are almost 90 degrees to the tractor and step on the brake pedal, and it will spin around in its own footprint with one tire staying completely stationary and the other tire walking around. So that's the purpose of the two pedals, is that it allows you to force it to steer tightly to one direction or the other. You'll see at tractor pulls a lot of times that the tractor will be with the front tires 2 feet off the ground, but they're still able to steer left to right. That's how they're doing that, is because they're touching the brake for one side or the other and actually steering with the rear axle. In reference to our rear axle, we'll notice right below my feet here on the back is this little toggle pedal. Now what that does, it's kind of goofy, but when you're, let's say, pushing snow or pushing dirt and your rear tires start spinning one tire or the other, You can touch the brake. If, let's say, our left tire is spinning and our right tire is not, I can touch the left brake and that will force power to the right tire. That is the other purpose of the two pedals, is you can sit and shift it back and forth and help get you unstuck. Or, in this particular case, we've got this heel lock control, and if you step that down, that now gives you posi traction. Both rear tires are driving now. And so that's really kind of handy on that, you can lock the rear tires so that both rear tires are locked together and driving at the same time. So it's just another traction control item. You'll notice there is a toggle on that brake pedal that can be locked down so that both brakes hit at the same time. I do personally recommend, if you're road traveling with it, especially at higher speeds, lock both brake pedals together, because if you're at 15 miles an hour and you need to slow down, sometimes if you touch one pedal or the other, the tractor will lurch to one side or the other. So if you lock them together, you'll avoid that lurching in one direction or the other. Also, if you lock them together, then we get to this other little knob over here. This is a brake lock. So that brake lock is attached to the right-hand pedal, not to the left. So if you lock your brake lock, right now we're only locking the right tire. But if we lock both brake pedals together with our tab and step it down, now when we lock the brake pedal, it's holding both pedals. So it's kind of weird that they did that it only locks the right, but if you lock both together, it does lock them. Now I don't know whether that's just a feature of this tractor or if that's normal on them. But to unlock that, it seems like you've got to push the knob in and then step on the pedal again, and it'll click lock out. On the dash here, we'll put the steering wheel back down. You do have to pull that latch for it to lock, and then it'll lock down. It's not the optimal position for somebody my height with the steering wheel. It's kind of in the way here, but I wish that was adjustable, but it's not. We do have turn signals on the machine, right and left. We've got pretty good headlights here. On this side, we've got our four-wheel drive control, which I believe is this one here, and then we've got PTOs. I don't know what these other control buttons do. Like I say, I've had the tractor for 2 years. I've played with some of this stuff. Some of it doesn't seem to do anything, so it must be for other features that either aren't on the tractor or are disabled. The headlight and emergency lights or flashers are a pretty good system on this tractor. It does have pretty good lights, decent road travel capabilities with it. To start this, it is a diesel. This is our gas cap up here under that. Battery sits at the very front behind the crash guard and behind the plastic grill. It's not too bad to get in there if you need to jump start it. You do have to pull the pins out of that crash guard and fold it down and then open the hood. Hood opens with a push button right behind the crash guard up there on the front. But to start this in cold weather, these machines have a intake air heater rather than glow plugs. So you would turn on the key and then push the key in. So this is not automated, it's manual. You push the key in, and you'll see on the dash there, as I push the key in, the light comes on. That's your intake air, that it's a preheater for the intake air. And that works pretty good. This tractor has popped off no problem at all in 0-degree weather. So I've had pretty good feedback on that, or luck with that working. Let's see, what else? That's pretty well it to start. You just turn the key and it'll fire up. And like I say, your throttle is there. And you can hear when you're down all the way at the bottom, the engine kind of surges a little bit, kind of lurches, low, low, low. And so you don't want to do too much with it in the basement like that. You want to bring it up maybe about quarter throttle is where I'll usually run it, where I'm tootling around. And so I run between quarter and half throttle for all of my normal stuff, and then when I get out to road travel or whatever, I'll kick it up to full throttle once I'm in motion. But there's no reason to run the thing at full throttle for doing a little tootling around the yard. Just use a quarter to half throttle to do what you're going to do, and go from there. But that's pretty well it. Like I say, for most people, it's going to be get on the tractor, make sure you're either in A or B range, make sure the brakes are set how you want them, the throttle is at about quarter throttle, make sure these pedals aren't stuck, that they all work well, and fire it up and go. This is your bucket and loader frame, and that's your 3-point there, and auxiliary hydraulics here. Every machine is going to be slightly different, but remember to start out slow and fire it up and be careful. So hopefully this is useful, not just for John Deere owners, but for anybody else with a hydrostatic tractor, because like I say, a lot of this stuff is pretty universal between the brands. So hopefully this walkthrough is helpful for some of you out there that are just getting into these tractors or aren't familiar with this model of utility tractor. Like I say, even though I've been doing this for 50 years, every time I get on a machine, it's still new to me if I've never run it before. So don't feel too bad if you don't know exactly what you're doing. Just be careful out there. Thanks for watching.